Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an update on Hurricane Helene. Overnight, the intensification of the storm did happen, not to the magnitude. We're going to look at everything from right now numbers to some forecast model outlooks. We're going to compare 12 models and show you a little bit of the science behind this and show you exactly why we think it will track where it will, and then also talk a little bit about the variation in the intensity of the storms between the models. We'll look at that official National Hurricane Center forecast, and we'll get started right now. Now, what you're looking at is one forecast model's rendition of the timing of this system, so you get a feel that as we look into Central Time, 10 p.m., but East Coast time, 11 o'clock tonight, that storm will be right here in Appalachia Bay, right in the northern panhandle of Florida, just off or near Tallahassee on the coastal side. Now, we'll see some impacts in central Florida as well, as we're talking anywhere from, say, Tampa on northward as we head into the late night hours and throughout the day. Very heavy rain, storm surge. We'll go over all of that, but this is just a quick idea of what we have. Let's take a look at the right now, shall we? What we're going to see is a look at the latest satellite view, and you can see the eye of the storm. We'll show you exactly where it is. Here we go. This is a look at infrared satellite data, and what infrared does is looks at cloud top temperatures, and we'll go ahead and zoom out just a pinch here so you can see where the eye of the storm is and compare it to different places in Florida. So you saw the expected landfall near the Tallahassee area and how far away it is from you folks out in the Tampa area right now. There is the latest snap from the satellite, and it is about 197 miles to the south and west of Tampa. And in Tallahassee, it is about 289 miles. Now, right now, the speed of movement is about 10 miles per hour. It's expected to increase in speed as we go through the day. But we do see a very defined eye wall with the storm as it's working its way northward today. What about the radar? Let's take a look at the latest with regards to that. We do have a look at the radar, and you can actually begin to see the impacts of that cone and the center of the storm right here. So same place, we've got that well-defined eye wall with some bands of thunderstorm activity, and these northern Florida bands moving up into Georgia have active tornado warnings associated with them. Shear in the atmosphere associated with hurricanes often does this. We even have a tornado warning just to the south of Columbia right now. So if you're in these areas, you're getting that potential for flooding rain. We have flash flood warnings in many of these areas, as well as that tornado threat across portions of Georgia and North Florida. It looks like North Florida may see a reprieve in the activity as it moves up towards places in North Carolina, South Carolina, and southern Georgia. Now, as we take a look at that latest radar, you can certainly see that there's an abundant amount of rain in and around the Tallahassee area, so the flood warnings are already in place, flash flooding, and the winds are picking up. Now, take a look at the latest with regards to the radar. Now we'll look at the model comparison. This is a very interesting perspective. Let me load up the right screen here so we can take a look. I've got 12 models loaded up at about that 10, 11 o'clock time at night time frame here, and we're going to walk through them real quickly, and we're going to compare a couple of different things. Where is the storm? Is there a consensus among the models? So let's get to that right now as we take a look at a model comparison right here. Okay, here we go. Now, what we're looking at is an American model. This has the low pressure system as we cross into about the 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time frame, and it has it on the eastern shore of Appalachia Bay. That central pressure, 959, and a lot of bullseyes around that indicating that huge drop in pressure near the eye of the storm. That means incredible wind speeds. On the east side of the center or the eye of the storm is where we'll have the greatest swells. We'll go over what the National Hurricane Center is expecting with regards to that. Another quick model. This is an hourly updated model showing a similar location in the central to eastern half of Appalachia Bay as it makes landfall as we approach around the 11 o'clock night time frame. This model has it significantly still south. I think there may be some credence to this particular models as the movement has been fairly slow northward over the overnight hours. And as we take a look at this model, it has it jumping well onto North Florida right now through Tallahassee and on its way into southern Georgia at the 11 o'clock time frame. Here's another one, just right smack dab in the center of Appalachia Bay, but look at that pressure. That's 939 millibars. That is the one of the lowest we've seen so far. And then this one, 952. That's no picnic, let me tell you, but it's still smack dab in the center of Appalachia Bay. You get the idea that most of these models have a consensus. Appalachia Bay, a couple to the right, couple to the left, but that is the area of expected impacts. Look at the pressure, by the way, at this model, 930. So some intensification is likely based on every model we've seen as we head into the nighttime hours tonight after dark as the storm makes landfall, and it's expected to be very close to around that 11 o'clock hour as we go through the evening tonight. So that is your model comparison. Now let's take a look at what this looks like when we turn out and take a look at what we call the spaghetti plots with this. That's kind of an interesting way to do it. So let me pull up the spaghetti plots right here and show you what that's showing. Here we go. So now we'll back out just a little bit, and all of these lines that you see on the map are different models and where they are showing the expected landfall. The consensus of the models has it moving in right towards Tallahassee and the inland side there, and right in the left side or the western side of Appalachia Bay. That means the greatest swells will be on the eastern part, and we're talking about storm surge here. Incredible storm surge driven by winds, and this is a very potentially strong hurricane. So if you're in the path of this storm already, you have hopefully been taking your precautions as you still have the rest of the day today to make those precautions. Now, a couple of the outliers, these lines that you see here have the model shifting it out and heading in more of that Gainesville direction, but those are indeed the outliers. There's a couple of models that do indicate this, but let's go ahead and take a look now that you've seen the spaghetti plot. Where does it go afterwards? Straight north is the consensus towards Atlanta through Albany, Georgia, and on into Nashville. And the system slows down as we get into the time frame of your Friday and into Saturday morning and kind of parks there, bringing that rain and wind threat well inland because of the potential strength of Hurricane Helene. Now let's take a look at the official National Hurricane Center cone forecast here. And this shows us the cone of uncertainty is narrowing down. Appalachia Bay is still that area of concern for the greatest risk of seeing this storm make landfall. So basically, if we zoom right in, the expectation is for the eye of the storm to make its impact just south, almost due south of Tallahassee. That is right here as we zoom in a little closer, near St. Mark's. So this is the center of the forecast cone. That's where it's most likely. It could go with the uncertainty either way, maybe more towards Perry or more towards East Point as we take a look at that. So right now, heavy rain on the radar is showing up as we look at Port St. Joe, East Point, and out towards Blountstown. Now that is a look at that part of the storm path. As we go into the late night hours and into your Friday morning, the storm system is going to be making its way up through Albany, Macon, and Atlanta. And it will still be quite strong and weaken to what we would call tropical storm strength winds as it gets farther away. But when that transition will be is unclear. It depends on the strength of the storm. It does look like it will maintain some pretty significant strength as we go through. So that is a look at that official cone. Now let's take a look at the model. Again, we want to point out too that as we look at models, they're all just a little bit different. This particular model here showing that the storm system at this looped time, let me get it out towards tonight here just a little bit and select a different frame. And in fact, I'm going to select a different model here and pull up the 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. time frame. So here we go. Let me see if I can pull that up for us. Reflectivity and this time frame. Uh-oh. Okay, so what we're looking at here with this storm system is, let's look at the right now numbers with Hurricane Helene. Right now, as it sits off shore, it is putting out 100 mile per hour winds, maximum wind speed 98 miles per hour. It's moving, is picking up a little bit of pace now, 14 miles per hour to the northeast. Okay, so that is what the major current conditions are with Helene as it's working its way northward. Let me see if I can reload the hurricane tropical tracker here and try to get that cone back on here for you. So right now, with the strength of the storm system working its way northward, we do see that the potential for the storm system to create hurricane force winds, which we'll show you here on the Saffir-Simpson scale, will be quite intense. So the forecast is for the storm to strengthen to a Category 4 strength winds with sustained winds as we go into the dinner hour tonight. It should be picking up to Category 4 strength. And we're talking about 130 plus mile per hour sustained winds or 110 mile per hour sustained winds. So Category 3 to Category 4 is the range. But gusts upwards of 150 miles per hour. So some terrible damage could happen on landfall with that. And to show you a little bit more, the National Hurricane Center has a look at what this means with regards to the wind speeds on these different scales on the Saffir-Simpson scale. So a Category 1 hurricane is producing 74 mile per hour winds or greater, and we'll see some things getting lost off that, but as it approaches 96 to 100 mile per hour winds, many roofs lose their shingles and tops, and then once it crosses into Category 3, which is a major hurricane, we start seeing rooftops stripped out, debris flying across the area. Category 4 is catastrophic, and you can see that the destruction for even well-built homes can be quite traumatic as those winds and the flying debris created from them swept off the foundation as it crosses into that Category 5 storm force winds. So that's a little bit of a feedback there. This storm is forecast to increase to Category 3 to Category 4, and some have been showing it to be nearly Category 5 as it makes landfall. So nothing to sneeze at. So that is the very latest. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I've been broadcasting weather for 27 years. And it's been a pleasure to bring you some information today. If you would like to follow me right here, you can hit the subscribe button on YouTube and you'll get notifications when I have updates. But if you're in Florida, batten down the hatches. Hurricane Helene, late tonight after the dinner hour, the impacts are already taking place across portions of North Florida and Georgia. I'll be back with an update a little bit later in the day, but until next time, stay tuned to me here at Hutch's Weather, and you can get the latest as well on my website, hutchesweather.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll check back a little later.